Hey everybody, and welcome to another network session with Core Code. If you are new here, well, it's a pleasure to have you. We are Core Code. We are a technology learning accelerator, and we also have these amazing spaces for you to get to meet with amazing people who are working at amazing companies, so you can explore a bit of what they're doing, and also so you can get inspired by the amazing cool things that you can get to do. I'm Sophie. I'm gonna be hosting the event for the night or the day, wherever you are. And we have Chris today who's gonna be facilitating the event. Chris, welcome.
Thank you, Sophie. I'm Chris. I do operations and finance at Corcode. I am super excited for our guest today. Today we have Alex Martinez joining us from Toronto, Canada. Hello, Alex. How are you doing?
Hey, I'm good, thank you. How are you?
Awesome, awesome, awesome. So we talked a bit about what you would be showing us today, but I think we could dive right in. Sophie, anything
Yes,
else to say?
definitely. I'll just remind the audience that they can write their questions or comments in the chat. You can find it maybe below or to the sides of the screen. And we're going to be looking into your questions at the end of the presentation. So please write everything that comes to mind. And that being said, we're just going to leave Alex to present her amazing presentation. And thank you, everybody. We'll be seeing you in a moment. Have fun, Alex. See you in a while.
Thank you. All right. Thank you, everyone, for coming today. I'm just going to go ahead and dive into my presentation. Yes, we're going to talk about optimizing work with MuleSoft. More specifically, we're going to learn how to integrate Slack and MuleSoft to increase productivity. And by the way, I'm Alexandra Martinez. You can call me Alex, and I'm a developer advocate here at MuleSoft. So for today, I'm going to talk a little bit about me. Then I'm going to talk about what is MuleSoft. So in case you don't know what it is, don't worry. I'm going to go right through it from the beginning. Then I'm going to explain what is Slack. So again, if you are not familiar with Slack, I'm going to go a little bit into it so you know what it is. Then I'm just going to explain what is this application that I created for this demo. So it's called Max Manager. I'm going to tell you why. And this is the application both in Slack and MuleSoft. And finally, I'm going to go through the demo so you can actually see it in action and not just in the slides. So a little bit about myself. I am a software engineer. I've been more or less like 9 or 10 years in technology. I am from Monterrey, Mexico, and I just moved to Toronto like 3 years ago, more or less. Um, when I was living in Mexico, I had the pleasure to be in an exchange program to Germany, and that really opened my eyes to like wanting to live in another country. And I actually wanted to live in Germany, but I ended up living here in Toronto. I got an opportunity with MuleSoft, actually. Well, not the company, but as a MuleSoft developer. So when I was working in Mexico, I was a senior, not a senior, I was a MuleSoft developer. And then I got a job here in Toronto as a senior MuleSoft developer. And that's how I moved here. And now I'm working at MuleSoft. So not just as a MuleSoft developer with one of the consultancies, but at MuleSoft. I am also the founder of ProsDev. So if you go to prosdev.com, you will see my website. I try to help other colleagues to get started in content creation. So just like writing blog posts or creating videos or stuff like that, I founded ProsDev so they can do that. I am also a lead at Women Who Code Monterey because that's the chapter where I was born. So I really like to just give back to the community. And I am occasionally a mentor at Ola Escuaga MX, which is also an organization from Mexico, from Monterey as well, where they try to help students in at-risk students or students in STEM technologies, STEM careers, women specifically. Other titles that I have, I am a digital content creator, I'm a blogger, and sometimes I'm a gamer. I have my reviews, my games reviews online. You can check out more about me in alexandramartinez.world. There you can find my blog, my portfolio, my links to socials, everything about myself. All right, so what is MuleSoft? Let's just get started from there. So we have this product, which is kind of like the main product. It's called MuleSoft Anypoint Platform. MuleSoft is just the name of the company, but we have different products to help you integrate different technologies. And the main product that we have is Anypoint Platform. So if you go, for example, here you have the link, I believe you can see it, to go to anypoint.mulesoft.com, and you will be able to create a free trial account for 30 days if you want to just try it out. I will also tell you where to find some tutorials at the end, because just like signing up and not knowing what to do is not good enough, right? And there you can see a little bit of the preview of how Anypoint Platform looks like. Here's also a little bit of an overview of some of the main products that we have in Anypoint Platform. So at the top, we have Anypoint Security. So anything to do with Edge or tokenization is going through Anypoint Security. On the left, we have something called Anypoint Design Center, where you can create an API specification, you can create a flow, just like an integration online. We also have a Sync API Designer, which is a new product. Sorry. So if you want to create like a queue or a message, or just like do async APIs in general, you can also create kind of like an API specification, but for a sync API. And we also have Datagraph. If you're familiar with Datagraph, we have another product to use Datagraph here with MuleSoft as well. On the right, we have Anypoint Management Center. And we have API Manager, as its name says. It's where you manage your APIs. API Gateway, again, just to create a gateway for your APIs. The one that we are going to be using today the most is Runtime Manager, is where you can deploy your APIs or Mule applications into the cloud. We also have Service Mesh, which you can use to deploy your applications into your on-prem servers. And Monitoring and Visualizer, which are very cool tools. So you can actually monitor and see everything that's going on with your APIs, if there are spikes, if there are errors, stuff like that. And we also have something called Secrets Manager, where you can keep your passwords, your tokens, or stuff like that, and you just have to reference to them instead of having them randomly in your code. On the middle, we have Anypoint Exchange, which is kind of like an app store that you can use. So if you create a connector, a MuleSoft connector, or if you create a MuleSoft API or an API specification or stuff like that, they're called assets. So you can upload one of your assets to Anypoint Exchange, and you can make it public or you can make it internal. So anyone from your internal company or from the outside world can access these assets. And everything is running in the runtime engine and services. So again, today we will be using Cloud Hub and Mule Runtime Engine. Cloud Hub is the name of the cloud where we will be running our Mule applications in the cloud. And the Mule Runtime Engine is what is used to run them. So one is where they are, and one is how they run. We also have Runtime Fabric, which is a very cool product where you have to use Terraform files if you're familiar with them. And you can integrate your Mule applications and upload them in different clouds. So instead of using Cloud Hub here, like it's the MuleSoft cloud, you can also use Azure, you can use AWS, you can use Google Cloud Platform, and you can also upload your Mule apps into those clouds, and you will be able to use all of the other products from Anypoint Platform right from here, as if you didn't know where it was deployed. And the other part of MuleSoft is Anypoint Studio, which is the IDE that we use to integrate all of our APIs, or where we do all of our code. And actually, if I can just play here, you can see a little bit of a video of how it looks like. So as you can see, it's very visual. You can just drag and drop the connectors from the right, and you can just, here's a code. So you can see the code, which is in an XML format, or you can just drag and drop the connectors from the right to the left, and you can start creating your flow. And this is your code, basically. You can also use transformations, as you can see there in the screen. So this will help you if you need to transform from one type of data into another type of data. You will be able to just use another drag and drop tool, and you will be able to do that. So there's no need to code. You can code if you want, but there's no need to do it. So that's the big thing about MuleSoft in general, is that we try to do everything visual. So the learning curve is way smaller. All right, so now that we know what is MuleSoft, now we're going to learn what is Slack. And this is pretty quick. I'm again going to put a quick video. So it's basically a messaging app that is commonly used for business or communities. So you can have, for example, channels. Here we can see that there are different channels, and you can start going into specific channels. For example, if you have different teams, if you have the front end team or the back end team, you can create specific channels for each one of them. And the good thing is that you can create personalized apps or integrations to be more productive. You can also have like voice calls, or you can have video calls or stuff like that. So Slack is pretty cool. I really like it a lot. And I use it a lot. All right. So now let's get into the Max Manager app. This is Max the Mule. It's our mascot. And let's see what Max is going to show us. So this Max Manager app, this is a screenshot of how it looks like from Slack, but we're going to see it in a minute. One of the functionalities is that you can find a list of your to-do tasks from the homepage. So if you go here in Slack and click on the applications, you will be able to find Max Manager, and then you will be able to see a list of all of your to-do tasks. That is like the main thing. But then how do you create these tasks? There are 3 ways to create them. One is to create a task from a new message. So if you, for example, have this message, you just have to click on the 3 dots button from the right, and then you just have to select create new task or create task from Max Manager. That will create a new task that will open a new model, and you will be able to modify the task title if you want, or just click submit. The other way is to create a task from a slash command. So if you're not familiar with slash commands, basically you just put your cursor in the text area, and then you write a slash. And after you write the slash, you will be able to just select a command. So in this case, you select create task, which is the first step. Then you just select this is the command that you want to run. And you will be able to continue writing here in the text area. So you can just write the title of your task and just send normal message. And you will receive a confirmation that only you can see, saying, yeah, the task was created, and the title, which is create my planning. You can also create a task from the homepage. So if you noticed here in the list of tasks, you also have the add item button. So you can click on it, and you will see another modal where you can just write then again the name of the task and click submit, and this will create your new task. Other functionality that this application has is that you can check or uncheck your tasks right from the homepage. Kind of implicit, but I still mention it, and we'll see why in a minute. So once you are here in the homepage, you can just select or unselect any of the tasks that you want, and this will trigger something to save it. And finally, you can get the exact location of a task if you created it from a text message. Here, unfortunately, Slack doesn't provide a direct way to just click on the link and take you to it. So I created a workaround, which is just outputting the link of the task, and then you just have to copy that and put it on the search bar. and that will take you to the location of the message. This is something that I need a lot because I know that Slack has a functionality where you can just click on remind me or something. It has a button that says remind me of this in like 1 day, 2 days, or 1 hour or whatever. But it just sends you a message saying, hey, I'm reminding you of this. Do you want to take care of it, or do you want me to remind you later? And that is a little bit annoying and distracting for me because I know that I said that I wanted to be reminded at a certain time, but sometimes I'm just doing something else. So I don't like to be reminded all the time. I just get stressed out. So I created this so I can just copy the link and see the message that I needed to see or answer to the message directly. And that helps me a lot to just continue my day and not having like a ton of messages unopened because I get OCD. So this is why I did all these things. And the best part is that it's all custom to your needs. So if you need to change something, if you want to change a functionality, you can just go into MuleSoft and change it because this is your code. You can do whatever you want with it. And now the demo. Let's see the code in action. But I'm going to leave this open because I am going to explain all of these things. Basically, here we have the column of all of the functionality that I explained. So you can open open the home page. You can create a new task from a message. You can create a new task from a slash command, create a new task from the homepage button. You can modify the task's state from the homepage. And this one is not explicitly there, but is still another functionality to submit the task from a modal view, because these two only open the modal, but they don't actually submit the information. To submit the information, you have to do a different thing. And then this is what Slack sends to MuleSoft. There's a name, an action, or a command, and they have different names, except for these two. So if you click on create a new task from the homepage button, it's the same action as doing the modifying the tasks from the homepage, which is kind of a problem, but we were able to check something else to verify which one of these two actions were being triggered. The rest of them have their own action, so it's not really that hard. We just have to do like an if. And then the request is sent to MuleSoft, again, in different parts. Most of them are sending to interactive. This is just how Slack works. I did created these paths, but the same path is being sent to these four, and then this is other, and this is other. So I created different flows, and these are the expected results. So very quickly, now I'm gonna go to my IDE. This is Anypoint Studio. And here we have the main flows. So we have, let me make this bigger. We have these three flows, which are the three different events that I mentioned. Here's interactive. So all of the things that come to interactive then are gonna be in this choice router. So in this choice router, you're going to be able to select which action is happening. For example, in this first one, this action is type of message action. Oh, I think you cannot see it. Here. This type is message action. And then this other type is view submission, which is the other one that we said. This one is block actions. And then we have here the other one, which is events. And we check that the action type is app home opened. And for the final part, we have the slash command, and we just check that the slash command is create task. And I'm not going to go into all of the details of what each of these do, but here, like, this is how you create it. This is how you manage it. Here, you just have to set up the properties. So you don't really have to learn a new language. You can just drag and drop the components from the right and put them here on the left in the canvas. And then, for example, if I go into the task modal, So this flow is the one that creates the modal, and this flow is the one that submits the modal. And that's it. That's all the code. And then, for example, if I go to the app home, this is the one that generates the app home. This is the one that updates it every time that there's a change. This is the one that saves the modified tasks. And I had to do another choice here because if it's a checkbox or if it's a button click. And that's basically how you do it. You have different flows and you just select what you want each flow to do. And this is why I love MuleSoft so much. So let me just continue with this really quick. Now we can go to the questions, and here is where you can find me and this code if you want to take a look at it. Here is a GitHub repo. There I created the instructions to put this in your IDE. The IDE is free to download. Here in GitHub, you will see the instructions to download. And the only thing that is 30-day trial is the Anypoint platform account, but you don't need that unless you're ready to deploy this, which I would not recommend to do. And finally, if you want to just go and see the developer tutorials, you can just go into developer.mulesoft.com, and that will take you to all of our tutorials. And if you follow the getting started path, you will be able to see all of our tutorials. And here as well, just really quick, here is the runtime manager product that I mentioned. Here is my app. And if I go here to the logs, I will be able to see everything that's happening. If I go to my settings in the properties, here are the properties that I have. Like everything, you can just do it from here. And I'm using something called the object store, which is where I'm keeping everything. So kind of like a database, just saving all of it here. Here's my Slack. So right now I don't have any tasks. Let me make this bigger. Right now I don't have any tasks. And then if I go to my super secret project Slack channel, I can just click here and create new task. This will open the modal and I can just click on submit. And this, if I go to my home, this creates my new task. And then if I just do a slash command, so if I do slash and then create task, I can just do test1, send it. Now this is only visible to me. And if I go here to my home, now I have this other task. And the third part was to click on add item. And if I just write test2, click on submit, now I have my other task here. And if I go back here, I didn't have anything at the beginning. Let me just click on it again. And now I have my keys. So I have the counter to just keep a counter of all of the tasks that I have. And this is my username, my user ID. So all of the users will have their own tasks. So for example, if you were in this workspace and you were to open this, you would not see my tasks. You would see yours. So everything is here. It would be kept by different keys depending on your user ID. And yeah, you can just check them or uncheck them and it will work. If you go back to any other part and come back, now they are saved. And then here, if you just copy this and paste it here, you will be able to get to the message that was created from your task. And this is what I wanted. This was my whole point of doing this thing. And that's it. Some docs, if you want to kind of see the architecture here in Slack, basically this is what I did, how it works. I'm not gonna go through them unless you have specific questions. And another tool that I used is called the Block Kit Builder. So with this, you can just drag and drop stuff from the left and put it here. This is your canvas. And then you just have to copy this JSON code and put it in your Mule application. And this is basically a JSON code that is generated from whatever you have here, which is cool. And now that's it. Now I finished.
Awesome, Alex. This was awesome and amazing. I don't know, Chris, if you have any initial comment that you would like to share.
I mean, at Core Code and Core Learning, we are avid users of Slack, and I was just amazed by the integrations possible. You know, like a lot of a lot of the times I feel kind of bound by the kind of set apps Slack offers, and just the opportunity to create anything that the company might need or that team might need is just so exciting. It's also super exciting the option to have kind of like a low code build build up. Um, Definitely, it's a plus for us non developers or non developers yet. Um, but yeah, I found it amazing, beautiful. The I think it was the any point. I found it super friendly, super useful visually, which is also always a great start to getting to know a new app. You know.
Yeah, and maybe following up on your comment, I did have one initial question for you, Alex. Because can you tell us a bit more about the no code or low code concept? For me, as seeing this as more of like a facilitator than a developer, I do see that we need to like enter an interface in which we do need to like copy and paste some code, which maybe I'm not necessarily related to that yet. So my question would be, who is the ideal user for this platform? And is it no code or is it low code, or how does that work?
Um, I think it depends on what you want to do because if you use a flow designer, which is basically what we saw in studio but online, that's
Mhm.
more of a no code product.
Mhm.
It's supposed to be for very quick integrations or prototypes, so that would be a no code.
Mhm.
But the Anypoint Studio, I would say it's a low code because you still like to do the transformations of the data.
Mhm.
We have this programming language that is called DataWeave, and you still have to use DataWeave, even though we have like the visual drag and drop thing to
Mhm.
just transform the stuff. If you want to do like very complex transformations, then you do have to learn the language. It's also
Mhm.
very simple to use. I think it's way
Yeah,
simpler than Java or Python,
definitely.
but you still have to use
Mhm.
it.
Mhm.
Okay.
And do
Awesome.
you know? Sorry, I have another follow-up question. Just to add to that. So imagine I'm a company and I was impressed by what you did right now. If I wanted to start implementing something like, oh, I know this process that I could start implementing with the solution, um, do I need to hire a developer, or who do I need to hire for me to start implementing this at my company?
I think the easiest would be to just hire one of our partners. So, our
Oh.
partners are people that already have all of these resources and work for
Mhm.
clients. So, you can just get in touch with one of our partners, which are consultancies, and they
Mhm.
would have the resources, the architects, the developers, everything to go through all of it because they are already familiar with all of it. Um,
Mhm.
if you wanted to hire developers on your own, you can, but you're gonna struggle a little bit because you don't know what you're looking for in a developer.
Mhm. Okay, so ideally it would be with consultants. Okay, great. That was my follow-up question. Now, Chris, you were gonna say
Awesome.
something.
No, when we uh, got the news that you would be joining us today for a network session, I kind of stalked you a bit to see like who is this wonderful person, and I saw that your title is a developer advocate. So I don't know if
Mhm.
you could tell us a bit about what that means. What I mean, the the titles in the technology world are growing, and there are new titles coming up every day. So I would be really interested in knowing what a developer advocate does, or for the community, for the industry, and for companies.
Yeah, for sure. Well, I like its name says, I advocate for MuleSoft, but my day-to-day activities like are different depending on what I have to do. For example, right now I'm doing this presentation for you. I'm like appearing in an event. I can go into panels. I can go into podcasts. I can create tutorials, video tutorials, articles, blog posts, you name it. Like I
Mhm.
just create content that is evangelizing about MuleSoft or that is helping the developers to learn MuleSoft or use MuleSoft in specific use cases or just in general.
Awesome, awesome. So you kind of form bridges in this growing technology industry. And a follow up on that, um, what what do you think of? of developers reaching out, kind of, we have stories in core code of people that have developed, like normal careers, not in development,
Mhm.
and finally find out they want to become developers. What would your tip be for starting out, kind of, what you have lived and from what you have seen?
Um, well, the first thing that they want to know is where do they want to go? Like, do they want to be back end, front end, full stack? If they want to do big data, data science, machine learning, stuff like that. So the first thing I would say it would be to just like reach out to people or do some research and see what is out there. What are all of these different areas in tech? Because they're very different at the end of the day. I'm a backend developer. I don't know anything about front end. I cannot make beautiful things. That's why I'm using Slack. Um, but it really depends like what you prefer. For example, my strongest area is not to create pretty buttons or pretty UI or UXs, so I will not be comfortable doing that. And I've tried it and I didn't like it at all. It's so frustrating for me. So I would say like people can just start experimenting to see what
Mhm.
different things that they like. For example, some front ends I know wouldn't care less about what data is doing or how does it go to the database or stuff like that, and they prefer front ends. So they would just have to just start maybe doing some trainings to see how it feels, if they like it, if they don't like it. There are a lot
Mhm.
of low code, no code tools that they can also use if they don't like to use code in their day to day. So it really depends. I would say just go out, figure out what you need, and then just start from there.
Hmm.
Awesome. Awesome. Thanks so much. Thanks so much.
Amazing. And I wanted to ask another question. So, related to your career at MuleSoft, you commented that you started working at the consultancy and now you're working here. You mentioned that your main role right now is to share or evangelize about what MuleSoft can do. But I do understand that you are doing code and you are working right now in the back end of things. Is that right? Or are
Well,
you like are you did you leave code like to one side?
a little bit, because at the end of the day, I did have to do this demo on my own.
Yeah.
Um, but it was like the purpose of the demo was to do a presentation, not to
Mhm.
sell it to a client.
Mhm.
So it's not the same. When I was in a consultancy, I had to develop 24/7 basically, and it was
Mhm.
all for a client. So whatever the client wanted was what I would be doing. And in this
Mhm.
case, I get to be creative and just do whatever I want. So I figured I needed a product like this and I just created it and made a presentation out of it. So I get to just choose what I want to develop.
Awesome. And right now, did you use any technology, like specific language or framework, to develop what you developed for this presentation, or was it mainly using the no code or low code thing?
It was just using Slack and MuleSoft, nothing else.
Wow. No, that's
Well,
impressive.
well, MuleSoft uses DataWeave, right?
Yeah, it's inside MuleSoft.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Okay, amazing. So I'm checking the chat right now to see if we have any question. I feel like your presentation was too clear, so people are lacking a couple more questions. We're gonna give a couple minutes more so they can answer. But I think something interesting is, and I'd like to know a bit more. We have a couple minutes more.
Yeah.
You mentioned you started your career at Women Who Code, or did you start your career before that? Um,
No, I'm a volunteer with Women Who
oh,
Code right now,
okay.
so I just work with them sometimes. I give
Oh,
presentations or just go to the events or evangelize about it as well.
uh-huh, uh-huh. Okay, awesome. And in regards to how you started, where was the first moment that you felt interest, or a slight interest in technology?
I was pretty young actually. I don't know. One of I love Jurassic Park so much. I know all of the dialogues, and one day I was just watching the movie and I was like, why is this girl being able to control the telephones and the doors and everything from the computer? Like, how is that possible? And that just kind of like blew my mind. And I like was in love with this girl. Like, she's a hacker. She knows how to do stuff from the computer. And then like in other kind of programs like CSI or Law and Order or stuff like that, I started
Mhm.
looking at these girls that were programming specifically Criminal Minds. I don't know if you know it.
Mhm.
And I
Yes.
love, yes, I love this woman that is just
See, right?
The
an
blonde
amazing
girl.
person.
Yeah,
Yes,
I think it's Penelope's her name.
yes.
Penelope, yes.
Yes.
And yeah, that's how it started basically.
And when you got the spark, did you know where to go, or where was your first instinct when you first were interested?
On what, sorry?
Like, did you know where to go? Like, did you know, okay, then I'm gonna go to college and study this specific thing? I know this is called programming, because I know I also got excited when Penelope did the thing, but I was just like, oh, cool. But I didn't even know it was called like software development.
Mm,
For me, like my interest, of course, was not as deep, but I didn't know there was a career to be a hacker, you know. So my question would be, once you got the interest, what was your next step?
mm. Yes. So I just knew I wanted to be a hacker. And then when I got my first computer, I started researching.
Mm-hmm.
I learned HTML and did like a very basic, awful website in HTML. And then I learned how to do like a root for your Linux device, for your like Android device. And I started doing like different kinds of things to just understand how it works. And then I started doing research on high schools, and I got
Mm-hmm.
to this high school that was kind of technical, and they
Mm.
wanted to teach you to program from high school.
Oh.
So I started learning like C or C++ in Java and SQL and stuff like that.
Mm.
And then I got into my degree, which I already knew that I wanted to program.
Oh, wow. I
Awesome.
love this. And I've just seen this pattern so much. We have guests, software developers, guests from all around the all around the world, from every company. And this aspect of curiosity is so deep in you guys and girls. But it's not only about the curiosity, it's that you act upon it. It's like, I saw a hacker, I want to be a hacker, I am a hacker. It's not only about the dreaming stuff, but you do have the, I don't even know what word to use, because
The drive.
yeah, the drive. And then when you act on it, because drive is still, I feel like drive is like, "Ugh, I want to do this, like, oh, I want to be a hacker." But then there's the getting into the computer, actually looking how, doing research on how to build programs on HTML. So I don't know what the word is, but I would say that it's the curiosity, the drive, but also the ability to take action, and being like, super committed to the art, right? I think that's something that's been demonstrated by other guests we've had, and right now, what the story you're telling, you demonstrate lots of like a pursuit of action. I don't know what word to use, but congratulations on that. I think that's an interesting skill, and for the developers that are watching us, either in the live version of this session or once we send it to all our community. Um, I think that's something worth the thought, right? We're interested in this. We're starting our careers. What are we going to do next? How are we going to stay committed? And on that line, I wanted to ask you, and this question always comes up, but people, as developers we've known, they are super work invested, so they're working all the time, and they don't usually like to stop. So my question would be, if you have that same situation, and if you do, have you experienced some type of burnout? And if not, how do you not experience burnout? So yeah, let's explore that part.
Oh, that's a loaded question. um, I think it depends on a lot of things. It depends
Mm-hmm.
on the culture. So, where you are
Mm-hmm.
located, who are you working for,
Mm-hmm.
what is your company, where is your project, where is your team, what is your manager. um,
Definitely.
because I've been in some places where like you have to work 24/7, weekends,
Mm-hmm.
holidays, and they don't pay you. So,
Mm-hmm.
it's just like you just get burned out because you don't get any kind of anything back about just dedicating your life to it. But then I've worked also in other projects where you still had to work 24/7, but they would pay you or they would
Uh-huh.
give you free time. So like it's a little bit better, but still it's not enough.
Mhm.
And then, for example, right now where I'm working, I have so much free time. Like I get maybe like 1 or 2 days free every month or stuff like that. um, and they're very supportive. So if you feel like, I don't know, you have a headache, you're burnout, or whatever you feel, if you feel like you cannot function today, then you can
Mhm.
just take the day, and that's fine. I mean, you still have to be responsible of your things, but you get to just take a breath, and that's
Mhm.
fine. So
Mhm.
it depends really on the context, who you are with, where you are, and what
Mhm.
are you doing. But yes, sometimes, for example, when I get on the zone, like when I was doing
Mhm.
this application, I didn't stop for like hours. I was just working on it, and I didn't feel
Mhm.
burnout because I was really
Mhm.
enjoying it. But
Mhm.
if I'm just working on something that has to be done by tomorrow and I don't really want to do it, well, I feel burnout.
Mhm. Amazing. I love the examples, and I think it makes all the sense in the world because burnout, and I think we had not talked about this, but burnout doesn't is not only about how the developers deals with burnout, but how the company also sets the culture for burnout to be prevented, right? I think that was such an interesting point. And then maybe just last question on the burnout topic, but sometimes we need to do things that we don't love, and you mentioned that in those times you can you have gotten burned out. So when that happened, what's your like ritual or strategy to like diffuse or get back into your zone or your okay state?
Well, on one of those cases, I had the good luck of the company having my back.
Mhm.
So I had like a month of work because I really had to just reconnect,
Nice.
and I didn't even like I didn't finish feeling not burnt out. So
Mhm.
even after the 4 weeks, I still felt a little bit burnt out, but
Mhm.
it did help me a lot. Another thing that I do is just talk to my therapist and see
Mhm.
like how can I just solve it. Um, and another thing is that I know some companies have coaches, like personal
Mhm.
coaches or career coaches or stuff like that. I've never had it, but some people I know have them, so they can just talk to them as well, and they will
Mhm.
also help you in a career perspective. So what you should do or how to get better. And finally, other thing is just to get out of this zone. Like, for example, this is the
Mhm.
office where I work, but I don't
Work,
have
but I
anything
don't have
else
anything
here.
else here.
Like, I don't do my hobbies here. I just work here. And then when I'm
Mhm.
done, I go to the other room and do whatever I need to do. So
Mhm.
it's important, especially working from home, it's important to have a space to work and a space to not work.
Mm, mm. I love
Good
that.
tip. Good tip. Yeah.
Chris, do you have any follow-up question on that? We do have a question in the chat, so if
No, no,
you have.
you're pretty clear on my end. But yeah. So Viviana Lucero has a question, and Viviana
Going
asks,
back to MuleSoft. Uh-huh.
yeah, it's regarding MuleSoft, and it's she asks, is MuleSoft open to connect to other apps like Jira? So, and you gave the example on Slack. What other apps can MuleSoft connect to?
Yes, so I did mention the Exchange, which is kind of like an app store. So if you go to any point Exchange, you can just search for other connectors. For example, the one from Slack, I searched it there. And there is an
Mhm.
official version and there is a community version. And I actually used the community version because I thought it was easier to use. So you
Mhm.
can just choose which connector feels better for your use case and you can just use that. So I don't know if there's something for Jira. I would say that there is because I know there are a lot of integrations with Jira, but I haven't looked for it. So I'm not sure if that case is 100% sure. But
Any?
yes.
No, sorry. Go ahead.
But yes, you can just go into AnyPoint Exchange and look for whatever connector you need, and most of them are there.
Any other connector you use on a daily basis besides Slack?
um, It really depends on the use case. But for
Mhm.
example, the core connectors that come already with your IDE would be like the HTTP listener or the HTTP requests. So to receive an HTTP listener, which I had 3, or you can also send an HTTP request to somewhere else. There's also, well, everything is a connector technically. So the data wave connector, I also use it a lot. And yeah, I would say those are the main ones that I use. Also the queues. There are anypoint queues, anypoint MQ. So you can also use queues in MuleSoft, stuff like that. Yeah.
Awesome.
Awesome. And in case, imagine we go to any point exchange and we don't find the app, is there an option to like request for like the app to be added to the roadmap? Is there an option for
That's a very good question. I don't know,
that?
but I will write it down because I need to know that.
Yeah, because I think that would be awesome. I think if there's a space for that, people would be like super interested in doing that, in looking for that. If not right now, we always have your contact. We have your contact down there, so people can ask you in case they come up with a thing that's not there. I think that's always super valuable. Because at this community we love like feedback or just like connecting, and we'd love to explore that. We're getting to the end of this session, so I just want to see if Chris, you have any questions before
So
I give the last question of the session of the night.
yeah,
Huh.
I actually don't have any questions. You should all go really visit Alex's blog. She has wonderful blog posts. She has gaming reviews, which I agree with most. So she has good criteria for those. Sorry. She also writes a lot about MuleSoft, a lot about developing, a lot about integrating MuleSoft with Slack. So a lot of the in detail stuff is there. So yeah, we're putting it down in the description in a couple of hours. But please go ahead and visit Alex.
Mhm. I
How
think
much?
we're losing you, Chris. Are you there?
Can
Chris?
you guys hear me? Okay.
Yes, but you're like a bit delayed right now. But I think I got your last message. Your last message is that we're gonna we're gonna add we're gonna go through the presentation and just add the links that you shared below, so people can also enter the links there. And right now, if there's not any other question in the comment section, we will jump to the last question of the night, which is just a pop quiz that we tend to do to all of our guests. We actually do this question to our facilitator and our special guest, which is you, Alex. So the question is, if this was your last streaming session, and you could only say one last thing to people who are watching us right now or in the future, what would you say? It can be related to work, to professional aspects, or it can be related to life, spirit, heart, whatever you feel like sharing right now. So any of you can grab the mic and share something with the community.
So my last session because I'm dying or because I'm just not streaming anymore?
Maybe the like internet dies, so there's no more internet in the universe. We're not gonna kill you in the session, right?
I would say just be kind with anyone you see.
I
Awesome.
love that.
Awesome.
Short
Yeah.
and simple and to the bone.
Yeah. That's very down to earth and right to the heart of core code. We're always striving to be kind. And on that note, I'd say my last message would be to drink water. Along those same lines, Alex said, be kind to yourself.
Oof. You have the compliment, be kind to others and be kind to yourself. Awesome. Okay, everybody. Thank you so much, Alex. We loved having you here. We'll always be aware of any updates coming from MuleSoft. Remember to follow them everywhere on the link below. And it was a pleasure having you. It was a pleasure having you, Chris. And this will be it for the session. Have fun, be kind to others, and be kind to yourself. See you later.